as well, that would be greatly appreciated. Once Coach is done here, we'll wait a little bit. When it's time, we will head out to practice. We'll have about 5.5 periods of access today, so with about 3 minutes remaining in period 6, you'll hear us move everybody out. We'll return in here, hang in here, and Will Shipley and Barrett Carter will both join us in here consecutively afterwards. So Coach Swinney will have some opening comments. After that, we'll open to questions. So Coach, when you're ready, take it away.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the Smart family. Man, this is awesome to have this amazing facility, and just long time coming, I guess. So it's nice to have, and for you all to have a consistent workspace where you can do what you need to do. But hey, we're excited. There's no better day than this one right here. That's for sure. This is a day that, we look forward to every year. There is a ton that goes into getting to this point. I mean, a lot from January to this point, and then especially the last, probably 4 weeks from a staff standpoint. There's just a ton of preparation to get to this day, and then you finally get here. I mean, and it's just a ton of great energy in the building, a lot of excitement to just get started in the next phase of this year's journey as we start what we call prime time and get back on the field together as a group. So we're excited about it, looking forward to it, and glad you guys get a chance to put your eyes on these guys. We got a really, really good group. As I've said, y'all have heard me say a couple times, all the metrics in our program and indicators of success are, at an all-time high for us. I mean, our guys have really done what they need to do, whether it be strength, speed, conditioning, our weights, our accountability, the leadership initiatives. All those things are great indicators of the type of team that you have, and I'm really proud of what this group has done to this point. So excited to get going. Do you know your hat is backwards? Okay, just checking. I think it says Dallas, but it says salad going that way. Is there a subliminal message you're sending me? I'm trying to figure that out.
The former Cowboys quarterback Ben DiNucci, everybody knew him for the sidearm. It's his brand. So it's his hat. So.
Okay. All right.
He graduated from JMU.
Really? Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I had to ask because it's like I just
get your attention.
Yeah, I can't help but notice that and make sure my eyes were seeing things straight.
You obviously signed a really talented freshman class. So how much out there today are your eyes kind of on those new guys and, trying to watch the entire team as a whole?
Well, on all of them, obviously we had 15 guys. I guess 16. Strecco came in with that group as well. So we had about 16 guys mid-year. So I certainly want to see where they are, as we, like I said, we go through transformation. They all got exposed in the spring to the way we do things, practice, installation, all those things. Now they get a chance to jump back in the summer at a different pace from a strength conditioning standpoint, a different pace of installation where they actually now can see themselves from the spring. And now you get a chance to bring in. So these guys, I mean, they look great. We got a lot of guys that have really made a lot of progress. So I want to see where that group is, from a really more mental standpoint than anything. It's easy to kind of see physically what they're doing, but I really want to see the results of the mental work that they've put in since January. And then obviously I want to see these new guys because this is my first time on the field with them in a competitive situation. So I'm excited to see these 12, 14 guys or so that came in here this summer.
What's your outlook for Harris Sewell? I mean, speaking of that group of mid-years.
Harris Sewell?
Yeah.
Oh, he's gonna help us. We saw that in the spring. I mean, he's one of those just, especially in the offensive line. You don't get many offensive linemen that show up and it's kind of all the dots are connected. What I mean is like mentally they can grasp it. And then physically they can do what they need to do. Some guys are physically ready, but mentally it takes them a little while. Some guys are mentally really, really sharp, but physically they're a little behind. And that's just kind of the life of an offensive line. It's probably the hardest position to play, especially early. And we've had some guys that's what makes it so amazing when you see a guy like Mitch Hyatt. You see a guy like Blake Miller Tremaine Ankrum, Sean Pollard. When you see guys come in and play as a freshman at that position, it's just more rare than it is the norm. So Harris, he's definitely I don't think he's gone backwards since the last time I was on the field with him in the spring. So I'm excited, and I don't have any doubt he's going to compete and have a chance to help us.
You mentioned wanting to see the receivers step up. I guess what does that look like from your point of view?
I think we got an incredibly deep and talented group. It's going to start with Bo. I mean, Bo is a great player. There's a reason why he could have gone wherever he wanted to go in the country, and he had a good freshman year. And then last year, unfortunately, battled through some injuries and things, and it limited and got off to a great start. But he's still a young player. He's going to be a junior, and man, he's really, really developed. I mean, if he stays healthy, he's going to have an amazing year. He is a really, really good player and a great kid, a great leader. He's super, super talented. He's fast. He's strong. He's polished. He really understands all the nuances of the position, and he's passionate about it. So, like a lot of these guys that if they're available, they're going to have a great year. And he's had a couple tough breaks for some injury standpoint, and so hopefully this is a year he stays healthy all year. And if he does, he's going to have a great year. It's going to start with Bo, and then Antonio, coming off a freshman All-American year. He's 195 pounds. He's locked in. I mean, he had an amazing freshman year, I think he's gonna build on that. And then it's Cole and Adam, and then Speck. So that kind of those five, that's where it starts. If those five guys are available, we're gonna score a bunch of points. So I'm excited about the group, and then we'll figure it out from there. Noble looks amazing. He's gotten his butt in shape from where he was in the spring. He's realized the type of endurance he's got to have. I think he was about 210 yesterday. He'd gotten up to kind of like 225, and he's in amazing shape. His conditioning is where it needs to be. That's part of what it's when you come in early, you kind of get exposed in some areas, and then what are you going to go do to get better? And he's super, super talented prospect that was just getting here. I mean, physically, he can do it. Mentally, I'm anxious to see if he's a guy that's made a step. And then it's Tyler Brown and Tink and my man Ronan, Stellato. Stelato's as talented a guy. We're not really counting on Stellato. He's a guy that if he's available, he'll be a player for us. But he to this point he hasn't really been available, and he's a little limited as we're starting out here with his hamstring. So I don't know, but I do know this about Troy. If he can ever do what he needs to do to stay on the field, he'll help this football team because he's a super talented kid. But so we've got 10 guys, man, that I think are ready to go, and then we got 2 or 3 walk-on guys like a Hampton Earl and Hamp Green and some guys, man, Kaka, that can help this team. So we got a good group.
What do you want to see leadership-wise from Cade coming into his sophomore year, first time as the starting quarterback for a whole season? Do you feel like he's a natural for that part of the role?
Oh yeah, I mean that's what he's been doing a long time. Just be the same guy every day. That's what I want to see from a leadership standpoint. Just be the same guy every day, and that's what I've seen since really he got here. He's the guy that's never satisfied. He's always striving. You love that about him. He is a vocal leader. He's an encourager. He's a very positive guy, and love that about him. You guys have spent time with him. He just kind of oozes, enthusiasm, and I love that about him. So all I want to see out of him is just be the same guy every day, and then respond. Respond to something great and respond to something bad. You're going to have both, and that's really what we need from him.
I'm going to do my best to project from back here, Dabo. I know it's a concern for everyone.
What?
Your offense, is this something that's being implemented right now, or is it all in place and you guys are ready to work out the kinks?
No, I mean, this is our 3rd round of installation, or implementation, if you want that word. This is our 3rd round. So we installed a lot in the spring, kind of went at the pace of the guys and got a lot done. obviously we had some guys that weren't available though. And then, there's always a process in place with these guys in the summer through their skills and drills and meetings and so forth. So, they get it at a different pace, but hopefully it sinks in a little bit more. And then, so this will be kind of the third round. Now we'll certainly expand, and you really kind of build for the season during camp. And so this is the most amount of practice that we get at any given time. We don't have a 20-hour rule. You're not limited on your meetings, things like that. So we have to get a lot done. And so you try to build a really good foundation in the spring and summer, and then you kind of put it all together in fall camp. Because once you get into these game weeks, you've got to be able to, have your base and then be able to build on it week in and week out from a game plan standpoint. But yeah, no, we're in a good place. We're certainly not starting from scratch. Now, obviously, we got some guys that just got here, but they've been here a few weeks and they've had a chance to get a little bit of it. But the majority of our team was here since January. So I think installation-wise, we're in a good place.
Is there something that needs to happen during fall camp for this offense to come together and be ready for game 1 and game 2, or is it inevitable to still be working out kinks when games start?
Well, what needs to happen is we need to show up with great focus and commitment every day, and we need to learn and grow from, the success and the mistakes of the day before, and just kind of build throughout camp. That's part of it. And obviously, we need a little luck, as well to stay healthy. In couple spots for sure. But regardless, we got 31 days until we play, and regardless of how much we practice or whatever, we don't get to play football until Labor Day night. You saw a game last night. I think I didn't get to see it, but I think there was a game on last night. You'll see probably a game this weekend. There's a reason why the pros, play preseason games for that reason right there. Because they haven't played football. It's a long time to go. I don't care how much you practice. There's no simulation of playing the game. And even when you get 2 scrimmages, that's all we get. You're still going against each other. There's a lot of familiarity, things like that. So when you play an opener, to me, the opener is always the hardest game to prepare for, because it's the most amount of time, that you've been off. You really don't know who they are. There's always new coaches. There's always new players. You're looking at tape from all kind of places that isn't necessarily the personnel that you're going to play against. And then there's new personnel, so you're watching them at other places. And then there's the unknown, because you don't have any. Once you get into the season, you just kind of see 2 or 3 games. You get to see a little bit of an identity, and you get a little bit of a feel personnel-wise, et cetera. Openers, you don't get that. And then you're playing a really, really good team in Duke, who's got a ton of confidence and a ton of guys back. There's always challenges, because, again, when you get in a game week, you only got so much time. You got about 17 hours throughout the week to get ready with your team, because you get 20 hours and 3 of those hours is game day. But right now, you've got months. We've been working on our, first few opponents since the spring. And guess what? They've been doing that for us too. So there's always kinks. There's always things. It never is perfect. Opener. The key is just find a way to win the opener. All right? And then you go from there.
Any reaction to the FSU news this week, kind of talking about their place in the ACC, the realignment today, Oregon, Washington to the Big Ten, just kind of Clemson's place in all that going on with college
Yeah,
football?
it's a lot going on, man, for sure, and certainly appreciate your question on that. It's obviously there's the administrators, they got a lot happening out there. It's really my job is get the team ready to play. That's my job. And my job is I don't get caught up in all that stuff. Honestly, it's just the next domino to where it's all going. It just is what it is. I don't know if it's going to be this year, or mid-season, or next year, or 3 years from now, but eventually we're going to have I don't know what the number is. It'll be 40, 50, 54 teams, something like that, and it's going to be a 14, 16 team playoff type of deal. That's where it's going to be, and it's going to be whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the league's going to be called, or what the divisions or or whatever, but that's where it's going to go eventually. So, you know, there just seems to be these steps going there. So, you know, there's obviously a lot of narratives and things like that, and obviously, you know, from a lot of conversation about our league and, you know, TV contracts and things like that. And listen, those things are important. Obviously, you know, that's what administrators do. They plan. Our president, we got a great president, and people are always evaluating the landscape. Things change. Just wait till next week. Something's going to be different, right? That's kind of where college football is right now. But at the end of the day, you know, we spend a lot of time focusing on what we don't have. But I focus on what we do have. And, you know, we've got, I think we get 85 scholarships. As long as we get those 85 scholarships, and we're going to be awesome here at Clemson. You know, there's a lot of talk, and again, not to minimize those things, because they're, you know, there's long-term implications of things, and it's very important competitively and things like that. You don't want to minimize those things. But I'm going on my 15th year here, and so there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of conversation, there's a lot of narratives, but guess what? It really hadn't changed a whole lot since it was 15 years ago. I mean, from my perspective. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. And that's the administrators and all that. They got jobs to do. But from my perspective, my job is to take what we got and go beat what they got. And honestly, in my 15 years, there's always been a gap. We've never had the top TV contract, ever. I think from an athletic budget standpoint, I think in my time here at Clemson, we've been somewhere, I think we were 17 this year. We've been somewhere from 17 to 40, depending on the year. I think that's where we've been. You guys that follow us, y'all know we've never had a number one recruiting class. We usually are somewhere around 8 to 14 or so. That's usually where we always are. And so, again, not to minimize those things, the conversation of those things, but, man, I don't control any of that. And it's a complete waste of my time to worry about that. My focus is on Clemson. My focus is, and it's always been that way. And again, you know, what do we have? It's been that way from day one. And listen, you know, if it was, and those things are important, but they're not the end all be all. There's always been a gap here at Clemson. There's never been a year that I've been here that there hasn't been this gap. And so the other thing we have at Clemson is we have IPTAY, the greatest athletic fundraising organization in the country. We have incredibly passionate fans. All right, we have a brand that is second to none. We may not have the big market, but just check the TV ratings when the Tigers play over the last decade. You're going to see 4 or 5 of the most viewed games in college football have going to be Clemson. So, but all these years, I mean, when we played LSU in 2012, guess what? We didn't have the same TV contract. We definitely didn't have the same athletic budget. We didn't have the same amount of 5 stars and 4 stars. But you still got to play the game, right? If it was just those things, well, then it would be easy to declare a winner every single year. You still have to play the game. You still have to. It's still people. It's still culture. It's still, you know, getting a group of people with a singleness of purpose, one heartbeat, that love each other, love where they are, and love what they do. It still comes down to those things. None of that stuff changes. And so, you know, I have no idea what the future holds. I have no idea. But I do know that man, Clemson is a special place, and it's going to always be a special place. And, you know, whatever administrators decide, my job is to go put a football team together and go win. We're 3-1 against Ohio State. We will never have an equal alumni base to Ohio State. You know, I mean, one of the greatest programs in the country. You know, we certainly don't have the same budget or whatever, but we've been able to compete, and we always have. So again, that doesn't minimize the importance of, you know, what's going on in the league and what's going on in the landscape of college football. I know there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of narratives, there's a lot of things that are out there. And I appreciate your question, but I don't control any of that. All right, what I control is going out there at practice today and freaking getting ready to try to win the opener, and getting 85 scholarship guys in a group of 135 total, on one heartbeat with a singleness of purpose, completely committed, day in and day out to being and doing our best. That's what I focus. And whatever we have, loading it up and go see if we can beat whoever we play and what they got. And, we've won 2 national championships and against one of the greatest organizations in the history of college football. And in neither one of those games did we have the same amount of 5 stars and 4 stars. Neither one of those games did we have the same TV contract. Neither one of those games did we have the same athletic budget. All right? So, again, I know there's a business side of it, and I understand the longevity and the long term, but that's what the administrators do. So, I'm not going to come in here every week and answer questions about, Lord, we need to have good practice today. And that's the best way I can answer your question. And it's just focus on what we control. And these guys, man, got to go play the game. We got 85 scholarships. And as long as we got that, there are going to be a bunch of great football players that come play for the Tigers. And we'll see what happens.
Christian was talking a few weeks ago about playing 10 personnel, 4 receivers. I guess more often than y'all have in the last few years. Can you elaborate on what that might? Just what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we're always going to base out of 11 personnel. That's who we are. I mean, that's what we've built around here for a long time. There's been years, if you go back to 2018, we were a lot of 10 personnel, and our personnel dictated that. That's just kind of, if you go back to 21, we were a lot of 40 personnel, what we call 40 personnel, because that's just where we were, right? And, we're trying to find a way to win the game, not necessarily be a system, if you will. I mean, you gotta play the hand that you got. And, so I think we've always done that. But with this football team, for sure, no question. I mean, we'll be a base 11 personnel. You'll see some 12, you'll see some 10, you'll see some 20 and 40. You'll see multiple we'll be a multiple personnel team. And when we've been at our best, we've been able to do that. But it certainly starts with tight ends for us, and being able to have that presence, in the run game and the pass game.
Dabo, Brent shared Julie's diagnosis, and I know you have your big event every summer. You guys, as a university, as a college football, showed how you can love with the Brzee family. Last year, again, another player touched and a personal connection for you guys. Carrying that into a season, and how do you love and support your player as Tyler goes through this?
Well, I mean, Jeremiah Trotter lost his mom, Tammy, to breast cancer, just the last few months. And so, we've been through that. And anytime you're dealing with people and you're surrounded by a lot of people, life happens. And, so you can't take the pain away. You just try to walk through the pain with them. Just really, you put your arms around them. You just try to, love them and try to help them. You just walk through it with them. You wish you could take it away, but you can't. You try to just. We have a lot of resources here, for sure, that we try to expend. Whenever something happens, to make sure that we're doing everything we can to help. That particular person that's impacted by it navigate, the situation or circumstance that they're dealing with. And it's, our prayers are with Brent and Julie. That was a tough conversation this summer, and with T-Bone and with Brent. Cass talked to Julie several times. I mean, listen, we love the Venables. These are family. I mean, we've spent, a lot of years together, and so it's really difficult when you deal with it. The good news is everything to this point has been best case scenario, and she's freaking tough. You got to be tough to be married to Brent Venables. First of all, you ain't surviving in that house if you ain't tough. Because he's crusty. But she's amazing. I mean, she's a nurse by trade, so she has a background and really has a good understanding. But they diagnosed her, and again, the reports to this point have been very positive. And so, man, I'm really proud of T-Bone. T-Bone Tyler has grown into one of the best leaders that we've had come through this team. In fact, he stood up last night for probably 30 minutes and spoke to our team, and it was amazing. He lifted everybody up in that room as he talked about his journey here, and how he's grown. I mean, and I've known T-Bone since the 4th grade, so I've kind of had a front row seat to his journey and how he's really transformed his life. I mean, he is an amazing, amazing kid, an amazing leader, and so he's in a good space. And again, we'll just keep him in our prayers and hopefully continue to, get good news as she's got a lot to navigate. She's had one surgery. She's got she's going to have another one in a few months. And so she's going through a lot, but she's tough as nails.
Linebacker with the Dudley dismissal, I think you're down to 6. Is that correct, scholarship-wise?
Yeah.
What's kind of your plan depth-wise behind those first 3?
You got any eligibility? Oh, man. Well, it's a tough situation, right here in August at camp to lose a guy. We felt really good about our number's 8. That's our number that we try to have at linebacker. And obviously, in some years you have a number at every position. Some years you're above maybe 1. Some years you're down 1. Most of the time we're right at it. This is one of those years where, we were going to be under 1 and we felt really good about the 7. And kind of having an 8th guy, one of our really good walk-on guys, kind of being an 8th guy, or a bigger safety that could maybe fill a need. We've got some options there, but it's definitely disappointing to lose a player for sure. But hey, we like the 6 we got, and we're the good news is you don't really have a lot of 4-3 anymore. Because most of the teams are 11 personnel, and so you're still 3 deep at each spot there. Just got to hopefully have a little luck along the way. Obviously, we're if we don't have Barrett Carter and Trotter, these are 2 future first-round draft picks probably, and if you don't have those 2 guys out there, you're probably not quite as good. But guess what? That's the same for everybody in the country. When your best players aren't on the field, it probably changes things. So, but we like the depth that we have as far as who they are. Got a couple young guys that it's going to be a big fall camp for. But you need a little break. 2018, man, Clee and Christian and Dexter and Austin stayed healthy all year. And so you got to have a little luck along the way, and hopefully it'll fall our way this year in that regard.
What's your favorite part about today? Going out there and the music starts blaring, the boys are back in town, and you see some of these fresh faces that are going to become something else 4 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, all of it really, but that last meeting, that team meeting I just came from, I mean, when you're finally at this point, I mean, these guys have been working for a long time to get to this point, to this day. We just came through 2 days of a lot of meetings. Kind of program installation, if you will, a lot of academic stuff that we have to deal with, and so now, man, it's kind of behind you, and it's just like everybody's ready to go. And so I love this day. I love to see some of these guys. Like I can't wait to see Avion Terrell, this kid I met in the 6th grade or whatever when he was a little chubby guy. I can't wait to see him out there on the field. It's just really cool, to see that. So I'm fired up about it, and can't wait to get out on the practice field. I love our staff. I don't think we've ever been better. I think, our support staff is amazing. That's been a lot of fun. Seeing our support groups kind of show off, if you will, and present to our team, the things that they needed to present. We got a really, really good group from our bistro staff to nutrition. Man, let me tell you, Megan, she's a rock star, and she crushed it, this spring and summer. Bina, Bina's a rock star. Pat, our trainer, our strength staff is amazing. I mean, there's just we just have so many so many quality people throughout our organization that work so hard to get us to this point. So it's just fun to finally get on the field and to be able to kind of, just start. It's one day, but man, it's an important day, and that's really our mindset. Just have a great day today, and let's try to let's don't waste one. Let's just keep going because the margin for error is very small. We know that. So, man, every day that ends in Y, we got to find a way to be our best.
Dabo, Cade said one of his lessons from last year is he needs to play more calm. Beyond the obvious of what he can do to get better at that, what can the system do and the coaching do to sort of facilitate more comfort and confidence with his execution?
Yeah, well, he's a young guy, and you want to be great. He's just kind of bouncing around, and I think he can. The game can slow down a little bit for him. I think for a lot of young guys, the game can be a little fast early on. So part of it is just the physical and mental growth on his part, and the game slowing down. So that's part of it. And then from a coaching standpoint, it's just, you just equip him with some things. Sometimes, like Taj Boyd, man, listen, I'm going to get him tackled about 3 times, all right, to figure out, all right, now he's ready to go play. Some guys need different things. Maybe it's a layup, maybe it's that first completion. Maybe it's just depending on where you are. These are week to week, game to game when you're dealing with a young player. Maybe it's leaning on the running game a little bit early. Maybe it's a little play action. Maybe it's whatever. Maybe it's getting him out of the pocket. There's a lot of things that to answer that question that you do, and that's a player specific, game by game type of a deal. But I think he's in a great place. I mean, he's completely transformed. I mean, he's 205. He's night and day from where he was again, and there's no greater teacher than experience. So he knows, he's got a clear vision of how we prepare, what our game week looks like. The installation, it's just not new ball. There's a few little systematic things and some procedural stuff and some different terminology here and there, but it's still stuff he's been doing his whole life. So he's a natural. And you hope that just the maturation process, physically and mentally, and that as the game slows for him from a knowledge standpoint, that kind of happens naturally.
Yeah, but one of the things you said in spring camp, Antonio Williams, was that you wanted to see him embrace more of a leadership role. I was curious, how did you see him embrace that, and just, what are some of the things you're hoping to see out of him as fall camp starts?
Yeah, well, he did what he needed to do physically. I mean, he's gotten serious. He got his butt in that weight room. He didn't get to have power hour, so he was a little behind there because he had to play, and so he needed to kind of catch up a little physically. He's done that. I'm really proud of him there. And then he needed to get accountable, he's done that. So those are 2 huge things. He was a guy early on, kind of a freshman, especially when you come in, you have a little success, you can get a little lackadaisical, if you will, on some of the small things, and next thing you know, you look up and you're one of the 5 guys negative on the accountability teams, and so you can't lead from like that. And now but he's done a great job. So I mean, he's done what he needs to do physically. He's done what he needs to do accountability wise, so that he can lead. Because nobody's going to follow a guy that's not accountable to doing the little things right. And so I'm really proud of him. He's going to have a great year.
And looking at your offensive line, looking at some of the weigh-in numbers, big boys. Is this one of the more impressive physically looking groups that you've had here?
Yeah, and they're mature. I mean, so we only lost one guy. I mean, and he's playing for the Chargers now. And, I hadn't got any reports out of there, but I would bet that he's probably doing pretty good. So we only lost one guy, and we only lose one this year, Will Putnam. And so this is a group that's kind of been around for a while, and they've been grinding, and you can't polish anything up without grinding it, right? And so they're a group that's I think made of the right stuff. I love the versatility of the group. I think it's as I've said a couple times already, I think this is the deepest we've been in a while, in that I think we will have the ability to play a bunch of guys and not, stand over on the sideline like this, like, oh God, I hope he gets it right. I think we got guys we can trust and guys that are ready to go play. So I'm excited about the group. We got some questions, like we got to figure out, like, who's the best five, here's the good news. It's not who's the best five of the worst, because I've been in that situation too. Where you're like, all right, well, who's the next guy? Who's our best guy that's not going to get us beat? We've got a tough decision in a good way, because I think we've got about 7 or 8 guys that really can compete to be in the 5. And I think that's a really, really good situation to be in. So I'm excited about that, and I think we're going to have really good depth when it's all said and done. So a good group, and again, a mature group.
What was the process of bringing on Adam's older brother as a walk-on, Austin, and do you think he could?
He just wanted to walk on, and he's certainly he's a high-level walk-on. I mean, he's got college experience, and he's a graduate, and just wanted to get a different college experience. And so obviously, his brother's here and his family and all that. And he just wanted to walk on and see if he can find a way to contribute. And, we'll see how he does. I don't know a lot about him. I haven't been on the field. He's one of those guys we'll see. I mean, I think he's mostly been a special teams type guy. He's going to probably work some corner and maybe a little safety as well. So, we'll see. We got a lot of depth there, but, we'll see where he is.
It's been like having Chad back around.
No, it's been great. It's like I'm living in the twilight zone. I told him that like last night because I'm still not used to him being here. And I was walking, late meeting last night. And I'm walking around, and I got Jeff Scott's moved 2 doors down from me. Cass taking food to them, and Chad Morris is in the building, and I'm going, I am living in the twilight zone around here. But it's been great. Chad's awesome. He's been gone 8 seasons. It's crazy. The last time he had been to Clemson was the Sunday after the South Carolina game in 2014. Is when he left to go to SMU, and he hadn't been back here since. So obviously a lot has changed in 8 years. A lot has changed. He hadn't seen any of this building, and obviously as a program we've been through a lot, et cetera. And so it's been great, and hopefully we can really help him kind of reset himself. It's going to be a great situation. He's a special assistant to football, and he's going to really work with the defense and the offense. And kind of did the same thing with Ted Roof, came in here a couple years ago and kind of spent a year. So he's very cheap labor, if you will. For his expertise. Obviously, he's been a head coach, and he's been a very successful coordinator as well. And so he'll just be one of those guys like a lot of these programs have. He'll be a guy that kind of be a week ahead. He'll make a few games, but not all of them, because he's obviously in a unique situation. So he's going to go and see Chandler play. His son's going to be the starting quarterback at TCU. I'm assuming. So he'll get a chance to be a dad, and but also be able to help Clemson as well, something he really wanted to do, and just stay involved and stay engaged. So, he'll be a week ahead and study the upcoming opponent's offense, upcoming opponent's defense, and, just give another layer, another lens, add some value, and maybe help in some high school relations, and just, wherever he wants to jump in and help, we'll see. But, it's good that it worked out, that he could come back.
Dabo, Shipley's obviously gifted in all aspects of the game. Do you plan on riding him again as far as a kickoff return? Do you worry about him injury wise that way?
Well, that's why we brought James Davis back, so we could bring back the Thunder and Lightning. We've got a two-headed monster, and if things go like I expect them to go, both of those guys are going to have amazing years. Just like JD and Spiller when the last time JD was here. I really anticipate Maffa and Shipley, really feeding off each other and making a lot of plays for the Tigers this year. But, Shipley is – he can do it all. Did I not play C.J. Spiller? I think we've had – I saw this note. Ross gave me a note the other day. I think we're going for our 14th year in a row with our defense having multiple touchdowns. Is that right? And the reason I remember that is I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I was trying to think about it. And then I was like, when was the last? And so the last time we didn't do that was 2009, my first year. But you know what happened that year? We had 6 special teams touchdowns. There was a guy named Spiller. I never took him off a kick return and all that. And man, I'm trying to win every game we can. So, I'm not going to have Shipley long. And it's just another touch. I mean, it's no different than handing the ball on the inside zone or the counter. In fact, you got more room to run on a kickoff return than anywhere out there. I mean, so you get a guy. He's made some big plays for us. He's flipped some fields. Y'all think about that Louisville. I think it was Louisville. Was it Louisville that he had that big return? Almost took it to the house. Kind of helped us out in that game big time. I mean, he's had some big returns for us. So he's a problem. He's a problem. We've had some teams not kick it to him. So we're gonna use him every which way. We're gonna hand it to him, throw it to him, flip it to him, screen it to him, have kick returns, whatever it may be. And I think you'll see Maffa some as well. I think he's certainly got the ability to be a big time returner for us too.
Any additional questions for Coach? Coach, anything else? We'll get to work.
I'm ready to get to work. Y'all have a great day. Let's have some fun. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Y'all may see you old heads around here. Y'all might see T.J. Green out there. He's back. Excited. He just got back. He's coming back to school. Kind of like J.D. He's one of my juniors that hadn't finished yet. So he's back and getting enrolled in school. And unless he gets called into an NFL camp or something, he's going to be a student assistant for us. So y'all probably see him out there as well. All right.